the man who have taught the world the power of forgiveness. Nelson Mandela. Rolihlahla Mandela was born into the Madiba clan in the village of Mso, in the Eastern Cape, on July 18, 1918. His mother was Nonkafi Nosekani and his father was Nkosim Fakani Izwegadla Mandela, principal counselor to the acting king of the Thumbu people, Jongintaba Dalandaibo. In 1930, when he was 12 years old, his father died and the young Rolihlahla became a ward of Jongintaba at the Great Place in Mkhekezweni I. Hearing the elders' stories of his ancestors' valor during the wars of resistance, he dreamed also of making his own contribution to the freedom struggle of his people. He attended primary school in Kunu where his teacher, Miss Mdingane, gave him the name Nelson, in accordance with the custom of giving all school children Christian names. He completed his junior certificate at Clark Ebery Boarding Institute and went on to Healdtown, a Wesleyan secondary school of some repute, where he matriculated. Mandela began his studies for a Bachelor of Arts degree at the University College of Fort Hare but did not complete the degree there as he was expelled for joining in a student protest. On his return to the Great Place at Mkhekezweni, the king was furious and said if he didn't return to Fort Hare he would arrange wives for him and his cousin Justice. They ran away to Johannesburg instead, arriving there in 1941. There he worked as a mine security officer and after meeting Walter Sisulu, an estate agent, he was introduced to Laser Seidelskay. He then did his articles through a firm of attorneys, Witkin, Eidelman, and Seidelskay. He completed his BA through the University of South Africa and went back to Fort Hare for his graduation in 1943. Meanwhile, he began studying for an LLB at the University of the Witwatersrand. By his own admission he was a poor student and left the university in 1952 without graduating. He only started studying again through the University of London after his imprisonment in 1962, but also did not complete that degree. In 1989, while in the last months of his imprisonment, he obtained an LLB through the University of South Africa. He graduated in absentia at a ceremony in Cape Town. Mandela, while increasingly politically involved from 1942, only joined the African National Congress in 1944 when he helped to form the ANC Youth League, ANCIL. In 1944 he married Walter Sisulu's cousin, Evelyn Mays, a nurse. They had 2 sons, Madibathambikilthambi and Makatho, and 2 daughters both called Makachawi, the first of whom died in infancy. He and his wife divorced in 1958. Mandela rose through the ranks of the ANCIL and through its efforts, the ANC adopted a more radical mass-based policy, the Programme of Action, in 1949. In 1952 he was chosen as the National Volunteer-in-Chief of the Defiance Campaign with Malvi Kashalia as his deputy. This campaign of civil disobedience against 6 unjust laws was a joint program between the ANC and the South African Indian Congress. He and 19 others were charged under the Suppression of Communism Act for their part in the campaign and sentenced to 9 months of hard labor, suspended for 2 years. A 2-year diploma in law on top of his BA allowed Mandela to practice law, and in August 1952 he and Oliver Tambo established South Africa's first black law firm, Mandela and Tambo. At the end of 1952 he was banned for the first time. As a restricted person he was only permitted to watch in secret as the Freedom Charter was adopted in Kliptown on June 26, 1955. Mandela was arrested in a countrywide police swoop on December 5, 1956, which led to the 1956 treason trial. Men and women of all races found themselves in the dock in the marathon trial that only ended when the last 28 accused, including Mandela, were acquitted on March 29, 1961. On March 21, 1960 police killed 69 unarmed people in a protest in Sharpeville against the pass laws. This led to the country's first state of emergency and the banning of the ANC and the Pan-Africanist Congress, PAC, on April 8. Mandela and his colleagues in the treason trial were among thousands detained during the state of emergency. During the trial, Mandela married a social worker, Winnie Madikizela, on June 14, 1958. They had two daughters, Zinani and Zinziswe. The couple divorced in 1996. Days before the end of the treason trial, Mandela traveled to Pietermaritzburg to speak at the All in Africa conference, which resolved that he should write to Prime Minister Verwoerd requesting a national convention on a non-racial constitution, and to warn that should he not agree there would be a national strike against South Africa becoming a republic. After he and his colleagues were acquitted in the treason trial, Mandela went underground and began planning a national strike for 29, 30, and March 31. In the face of massive mobilization of state security, the strike was called off early. In June 1961 he was asked to lead the armed struggle and help to establish Umkhonto we Sizwe, Spear of the Nation, which launched on December 16, 1961 with a series of explosions. On January 11, 1962, using the adopted name David Mosamai, Mandela secretly left South Africa. He traveled around Africa and visited England to gain support for the armed struggle. He received military training in Morocco and Ethiopia and returned to South Africa in July 1962. He was arrested in a police roadblock outside Howick on August 5 while returning from KwaZulu-Natal, where he had briefed ANC President-Chief Albert Lutuli about his trip. He was charged with leaving the country without a permit and inciting workers to strike. He was convicted and sentenced to 5 years imprisonment, which he began serving at the Pretoria local prison. On May 27, 1963 he was transferred to Robben Island and returned to Pretoria on June 12. Within a month police raided Lily's Leaf, a secret hideout in Rivonia, Johannesburg, used by ANC and Communist Party activists, and several of his comrades were arrested. On October 9, 1963 Mandela joined 10 others on trial for sabotage in what became known as the Rivonia trial. While facing the death penalty, his words to the court at the end of his famous speech from the dock on April 20, 1964 became immortalized. "I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." Speech from the dock. Quote by Nelson Mandela on April 20, 1964. On June 11, 1964 Mandela and 7 other accused, Walter Sisulu, Ahmed Kathrada, Govan Mbeki, Raymond Maitlaba, Dennis Goldberg, Elias Mosorladai, and Andrew Mlangeni, were convicted and the next day were sentenced to life imprisonment. Goldberg was sent to Pretoria prison because he was white, while the others went to Robben Island. Mandela's mother died in 1968 and his eldest son, Thembi, in 1969. He was not allowed to attend their funerals. On March 31, 1982 Mandela was transferred to Pollsmoor prison in Cape Town with Sisulu, Maitlaba, and Mlangeni. Kathrada joined them in October. When he returned to the prison in November 1985 after prostate surgery, Mandela was held alone. Justice Minister Kabi Coetzee visited him in hospital. Later Mandela initiated talks about an ultimate meeting between the apartheid government and the ANC. On August 12, 1988 he was taken to hospital where he was diagnosed with tuberculosis. After more than 3 months in 2 hospitals he was transferred on December 7, 1988 to a house at Victor Verster prison near Paarl where he spent his last 14 months of imprisonment. he was released from its gates on Sunday, February 11, 1990, 9 days after the unbanning of the ANC and the POC and nearly 4 months after the release of his remaining Rivonia comrades. Throughout his imprisonment he had rejected at least 3 conditional offers of release. Mandela immersed himself in official talks to end white minority rule and in 1991 was elected ANC president to replace his ailing friend, Oliver Tambo. In 1993 he and President F.W. de Klerk jointly won the Nobel Peace Prize, and on April 27, 1994 he voted for the first time in his life. On May 10, 1994 he was inaugurated as South Africa's first democratically elected president. On his 80th birthday in 1998 he married Graca Machel, his third wife. True to his promise, Mandela stepped down in 1999 after 1 term as president. He continued to work with the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund he set up in 1995 and established the Nelson Mandela Foundation and the Mandela Rhodes Foundation. In April 2007 his grandson, Mandla Mandela, was installed as head of the Mzo Traditional Council at a ceremony at the Mzo Great Place. Nelson Mandela never wavered in his devotion to democracy, equality, and learning. Despite terrible provocation, he never answered racism with racism. His life is an inspiration to all who are oppressed and deprived, and to all who are opposed to oppression and deprivation. He died at his home in Johannesburg on December 5, 2013.